Millions of fans, millions of dollars in prize pools, and sold out arenas. Today, we're talking about esports. Welcome to another episode of the Son of Our podcast. As usual, I am your host, Gabriel Chavarria Sode, and I'm joined by my dad.
I am your father.
There we go. And as I just said, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about esports. Esports and gaming is kind of quite a big thing in my life. Esports in my life, gaming in both of me and my dad's life. We've mentioned in a past episode that I've watched esports, and today's episode is all about that. I'll be kind of explaining what esports is. I'll be explaining how it works, or at least in Valorant's competitions, because that's what I watch. And I'll also be asking my dad what he thinks about it and what he understands or what his point of view is. Is there anything you want to say before we get started, my dude?
Well, just say I'm assuming this episode is mostly aimed at people like me, at those parents in the world that have no idea what their children are doing behind closed doors. And also, as usual, I'd like to mention that this podcast is quite long, will probably be quite long as usual. So we always tend to break them down into little tiny bits that you can watch throughout the week. So look out for those little snippets. So if you don't feel like watching the whole 45 minutes or hour or an hour and a half, whatever longer this takes. Apart from that, let's instruct the parents of the world.
Okay, let's get cracking. So when was the first time you heard about the term esports, or when you heard about esports?
Well, I think it was probably through work, actually, through school.
Really?
Yes, because esports is relatively big as well in the world of education. Mm-hmm. And I travel to London every year to the BET show, which is a British educational technology big fair that they have there. And because it's to do with EdTech, 1 year suddenly I saw there was a huge stands by EA Sports and by Dell and NVIDIA. And they had games basically. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably the first time I heard the term esports. This must have been like maybe the first time I went to BET. Must have been like maybe 6 years ago or something.
Yeah, I was going to say 2020, no? Around there?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. That I remember. It might have been around before, but I didn't quite catch the drift of what esports was. I still don't really catch it very well, to be honest. This is why I'm interested in this podcast.
Fair enough. Because I feel like it's quite a relatively new thing, isn't it? People hear esports like esports, what the hell is that, you know?
Even the E. What's the E in esports?
I'm guessing it's electronic, no?
I guess so. I'm not really sure.
I'm not really sure.
I was hoping you'd tell me.
That's what I've always understood.
Right. So
yeah, electronic sports.
Electronic sounds a bit weird. Sounds very 90s.
And what was your kind of reaction to esports in general?
Well, seeing as you've been gaming since you were a little kid, and I've been gaming with you, it wasn't really much of a reaction. I thought it was a funny name for something that was happening already. What I didn't know was the extent of it. See, so that was my thing. I couldn't really see the point of calling it anything, seeing it apart from gaming. Yeah. Right. So I thought, and of course, because it has the word sports in it, I was very quick to assume that it had to do with cars and football, basically. Yeah. Because that's what I saw. That's what I saw in BET and fairs. I saw kids driving cars and playing football. So I figured that's basically what it was. But I liked it. I thought it was good. Good. I did like the idea of bringing it into education. We haven't done it in school. But because that was my portal into it was through education, I thought it was a kind of good idea.
Yeah. Because the thing with esports, I feel like people don't actually realize how big of a thing it is and how many people actually follow it. I feel like people hear esports and they think it's kind of a niche thing, which I guess in a way it is, because it's a minority of people see it, but like I said in the intro, it does sell out stadiums, and especially if you get the really big video games like League of Legends or I was gonna say Counter-Strike, and Valorant is kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it does generate millions and millions of dollars, and it is absolutely huge. You know, so I think it's still. I think that's what people don't really understand or grasp. You know.
Totally, yeah. That's my case as well. Even now, we did speak about this in a previous podcast, which we'll link below or put it up here somewhere. And we spent around 5-10 minutes talking about esports. And to be honest, I had no idea it was so big. I don't think most of the parents in the world have no idea how big and what, especially how ingrained it has become already. It's not very. It's not a very old sport, so to speak. It's not a very old thing. Yeah. But it's already part of society, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's getting more and more popular, and I don't see it getting less popular, you know? I feel like more and more people are watching it. And I mean, I remember when I started watching it, and, you know, when I was still at home and I hadn't graduated yet, and I remember kind of the first times kind of being like, guys, can I leave dinner early because there's this Valorant match that I really want to watch? And you guys were like, what? What do you mean this Valorant match you really want to watch?
Yeah, at that time, I remember when you first started doing that, I always thought it was your friends, that maybe you'd been kicked out of a match, that your friends were still playing the match that you'd been kicked out of because you died or something, and you wanted to get back to watch your friends playing. Yeah. Then at first, when I realized that what we were actually doing was watching other people play, that kind of blew my mind. I didn't understand it at first, and I only understood it when you asked me the same question again. Is like, you know, why do people watch football on TV? Yeah. You know, and it's exactly the same thing. It was just very, very different. Yeah, very different concept. Now that once I got my head around it, I have no issue with it. But I'm pretty sure that a lot of parents of the world, even now, have a huge issue with watching their children watch somebody else playing, or even watch somebody. What you very often do, you're watching somebody commentating on a game, which is even weirder.
Well, the thing is okay. So let me give some context, right? Yeah. I normally, when I watch Valorant matches, I'll watch these other streamers, or the one that I mainly watch is he's called Mixwell. He's an ex-professional player that he used to play CS:GO and Valorant. Yeah, and he does watch these games, right? And the reason why I watch them is it's kind of like when you're watching football and there's a commentator, right? Or there's the commentators and then there's the analyst that analyzes the games and says why they do this and why they do that or whatever, right? Yeah. Well, it's kind of the same thing. The games have their own commentators, because now then we'll just be watching the game, it would be kind of a bit boring. But they have the commentators, and then this Mixwell, he adds the extra detail, and it's I find it very interesting.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So I think we owe people like me, or parents, people my age, a little bit of an explanation. A little bit going back to the beginning. We're talking about esports. Mm-hmm. We know that it's not limited to sports. It's not limited to football or rugby or baseball or racing or anything like that. In fact, a lot of it has to do with punching and kicking and killing, right? So you're talking about Valorant, you're talking about shooters, you're talking about Street Fighter and all that, right? I understand.
Well, that's the thing, is esports is most of the time, any single game that you can think of, every single game has an esports or a competitive side. So FIFA has it, the F1 games have it, the MotoGP games have it. There's even chess. Chess has it.
Chess.
Chess.
Okay.
And then of course there's the shooting games and the Street Fighter games and everything like that, like you said.
Right. And so I'm sorry, I'm asking you the questions all of a sudden. I don't know if you had any more questions.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Go ahead.
But I'm curious as to who organizes these, because you're saying that all these games, clearly they're made by is it the developers that organize it, or is there like a world, like, is it like FIFA? Is there a world organization of esports games that organizes these tournaments? Because they're worldwide tournaments, right? They're not limited to. Okay, so explain that, how it goes.
Okay, so in general, nowadays, the own company sets up their own internal ecosystem, and they set up with like they obviously don't include the whole world, and generally they have their regions where they play against each other, and then there'll be tournaments or whatever.
And this is the developers themselves, right? So
yes, nowadays it's the developers, because they've seen that esports is a big thing and that it creates a lot of money. So right. EA and Riot Games and all these big companies, they set up their own ecosystems and their own leagues that they are directly involved with, and they say, okay, this is how it's going to work.
Okay, and then you have these leagues, and just like in any sports league, you have teams.
Yes, correct. Exactly.
And these are so you have I understand there's actually a Valorant tournament going on now, right?
Yeah.
Or something or other.
There is. Yes, there are.
Okay, so something like that is organized within a country. Is it worldwide? And each country has their own chapters, and they all meet online, or how's it go? Or is it on one place?
In Valorant's case, be talking about Valorant because that's what I watch and that's what I know the most about.
All right, so this is Valorant.
It's set in different regions, right? So in Valorant, there's 4 different regions. There's Americas, which is North and South America. There's EMEA, or EMEA, like they say in English, which is Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Mm-hmm. There's China, which is the China. And then there's Pacific, which is, I have it written here, it's Korea, Japan, Southeast Asia, Oceania, India, and Hong Kong and Taiwan.
Wow. So they're huge areas then, yeah?
Yeah, they are. They're huge areas.
Okay. And those are different tournaments organized in those different areas.
Yeah. So it's their own kind of leagues, right? So they all have their own leagues with their own teams, and in each team they play games against each other. And there's 3 stages, right? So with the first stage just started now. It's called Kickoff, and this is a bracket style tournament in each region. And the bracket stays, the way it works stays the same in each region, because obviously seeing as it's something organized by Riot Games, they wanted to keep it uniform throughout each region, so it makes sense.
Okay, so you say bracket game. What's that? What's a bracket?
So it's a bracket style tournament. So instead of it being like a league, like in football, where there's, you play once against each team, twice or whatever. It's like a tournament. So there's a bracket where you try to get to the final, basically.
Okay. Right. So like playoffs directly to the playoffs or something. Right.
Basically, it goes straight to playoffs, like in basketball.
And like you say, this is Valorant, right?
This is Valorant.
All right. So let's take it a little bit further back and explain what Valorant is, because a lot of people watching this might not even know what Valorant is.
Okay, fair enough. So Valorant, it's an online game. It's 5 versus 5.
Right.
Where you'll have 5 people attacking and 5 people defending. And the aim of the attackers is generally you'll have 2 or 3 what they call bomb sites, where you have to go and plant a bomb in a certain amount of time. I think it's a minute and 40 seconds you have.
Right.
And the defenders have to stop you from planting the bomb in those minute and 40 seconds, in that 1 minute and 40 seconds. And if the attackers do manage to plant the bomb, then they have to defuse it.
Okay, so the objective isn't to kill all 5 contenders. The
No.
objective is to plant the bomb. Okay, I
Yeah.
didn't know that. I thought,
Well,
I thought it
you
was-
can win by killing the other 5.
Yeah, it makes sense. If there's no contenders,
Yeah,
then
exactly.
you win, right?
And it's the first team to win 13 rounds. So there'll
Wow.
be 12 rounds. So you'll play on one side for 12 rounds, and then after 12 rounds, you'll switch. So if you start attacking after 12 rounds, you go to defend, and vice versa.
Right. Okay. All right.
And then there's multiple characters that have different abilities and stuff like that. So the goal is to work with your teammates and work with the abilities that you have to both stop and plant the bomb, depending on which side you are.
It's a strategy game based on teamwork, yeah, basically.
Yeah, it's a teamwork strategy shooter game, I guess is the best way to describe it.
All right, so and you have 1:40 to plant the bomb. That's not a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it's not a lot. It's not a lot, but it's not, but it is at the same time. You know,
and it takes place. Yeah, it takes place in a map or in in an open world or.
Yeah, so it'll take place in a specific map. There's multiple maps. I think now there's. So basically, I think they have like 10 maps, and there's 6 in rotation. So they have 4 that you don't play, and 6 that you do play, and stuff like that.
All right, so you don't choose your map; you just get thrown in somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Right. Okay. And then you play with. So you play on your own with. Well, you play with 4 other people in your team.
Mm-hmm.
Do you choose those people, or are they randomly assigned? Can you have your own team? Say.
So you can play with your friends, and let's say if there's 3 of you, then the other 2 people are random. They're just other people that are normally in the same rank as you. So there's also there's a ranking system in the game itself where you'll get given a rank depending on obviously how well or how badly you play.
Your level of ability, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's made so that the games are relatively fair, right? So you're not playing against people that are super experienced, right? Exactly. And of course that never works in my experience. At least at my level, when you're a novice like I am, you normally end up playing with people that are much better than you, right?
In my case, it works very well because you have specific ranks. Obviously, it does happen that sometimes you go against someone that isn't supposed to be in your rank because for whatever reason they just had a very bad few games, so then they go down rank or whatever's the case. But generally, it does work out well. Cool. In what I've seen, but yeah, that's the Valorant game in itself.
All right, so you have your game, you have your 5 people per side, and I'm assuming there are worldwide. There are great players and great teams, right? So it's pretty much just like in any sport, right? You have your okay, and these are young people. Are they old? Are they my age? Are they a bit of everything?
Most of them are young. I mean, I'd probably say the average age is probably 21, 22, around there.
Okay. So they're relatively young, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, they're quite young. And I'm talking about the first division, because there's also multiple divisions in this game as well. So in the Riot Games ecosystem. But anyways, most of them are around 20, 22, I'd say. I don't know. It gives or take. But that's the players, right? Because in Valorant there's also coaches. And there's also staff like in
coaches, right?
Yes, there's coaches as well.
Right. So this is in the big leagues, yeah, in the big teams, yeah.
And the coaches are generally older, maybe 30, more or less, I'd say 30, 40. I want to say. I don't know exactly the age, the average age, but I'd say around there. Okay. And yeah, I'm trying to think of how to explain the way the Valorant gaming works, right? Because it's quite complicated.
Well, to help you out, I might have, because I did do a little bit of research yesterday because I didn't want to fall in here with totally unprepared with your information. I'm reading here that if a player kills all 5 enemies, it's called an ace.
Yeah.
I know my stuff. Right. So I hear, I'm reading some figures here and it's quite staggering. The industry right now, the Valorant industry, right, this is esports in general, is valued at $5.3 billion this year.
Yeah.
That is an insane amount of money. You're totally right. And right now there's a tournament, the Valorant Champions Tour is going on, right?
Yeah.
It's the Valorant Champions Tour EMEA kickoff is in full swing in Berlin. All right, so it's country-based, yeah?
Yeah, so like I said, they have the regions, but then they'll play in one city. Whichever teams qualify for those regions, they'll bring all the teams to one city, and they'll all play there together.
And for instance, in this tournament, how many teams are taking part?
Right now, there's 12. In EMEA, there's 12 teams.
Right, 12 teams, and
there's 12 teams per region.
And how many times, like when you watch it, how many teams are playing that one session? All 12?
No, so it'll be like in football. There's one game going on at a specific time on a specific day.
Right.
Generally, they'll play 2 games at 2 games a day. I think 3 or 4 times a week, depending on the region.
Right.
And yeah, so the way that the Valorant system works is, like I mentioned, there's 3 stages, and each stage qualifies. If you win or if you get to the qualifying position, you qualify for a bigger tournament. And these bigger tournaments, they combine the four regions, right? So right now, as you said, there's the Valorant Champions Tour, which we normally boil it down to VCT because Valorant Champions Tour is quite a mouthful.
Yeah.
So there's a VCT kickoffs in each regions, and in each region, I believe this year it's three teams qualify for the bigger tournament, which I was talking about, which is called the Masters.
Right.
And these Masters are held in different countries around the world. So this year, the first one is held in Chile, in Santiago.
Okay.
And like I said, 3 teams from each region qualify, and then in Santiago, there'll be 12 teams will fight it out, and then there'll be a winner.
Right, and so now what's going on in Berlin right now is the qualifying matches for that Chile.
Yeah,
for that Chile.
Exactly.
So the 3 teams that win now in Berlin will be qualified to go to Chile to the grand final with the other 9 teams. Yeah. Okay, so it's very similar. So it really is very similar to a sports tournament. Then.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
So in EMEA, it's the central city is Berlin. In Americas, it's Los Angeles. In China, I think it's Shanghai or Beijing, one of the two. I'm not really sure. And then in Pacific, I'm pretty sure it's Seoul in Korea, I think.
Okay.
I'm not too sure.
Right. So you mentioned paying the players. Does that mean that these professional players it's all they do? So they don't have a weekend?
Yeah.
It's not a weekend job. It's a proper full-time job.
I think the base salary, the minimum that a player can get paid in the first division I'm talking about Europe, I think it's 4,000 something a month.
4,000 euros?
Yeah. 4,000. It's a bit more than 4,000 euros, like 4,500 euros a month.
Right, so it's a good pay. It's not a bad salary.
Yeah,
and then that includes on top of that, you obviously get your bonuses and you have your prizes, right? The prizes, I understand the prizes are The prices are always money prices, or are they?
Yeah, they are.
Okay, that's great. So,
well, you get money and you also get a trophy and stuff like that. But
wait, and your average team has 5 players, right? Or do they have or do they have subs as well?
Normally they have they have 5, and sometimes they'll have a 6th one, depending on, just in case something happens with one of the first players.
Right.
If there's a personal problem or something like that, But generally most of them have 5. Now it's becoming more common to have a 6th one, but normally if you're the 6th one, you're kind of not doing anything really.
Right. You get paid for nothing. It's not a bad thing either.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And obviously if they're being paid and they do this professionally, that means that then when they're not in a tournament, all they're doing is practicing all day, just like any other football player, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Right. Sounds amazing. Sounds pretty good. Okay. So now, the nitty gritty, the question, the $1 million question. I have 2 questions for you. First of all,
okay.
The simpler one is, do you have to, I'm assuming I know the answer, but do you have to know how to play to be able to, or do you have to have played the game to be able to enjoy watching the game as such?
I'd probably, in Valorant cases, I'd probably say yes.
Right.
The thing is, Valorant it's a very chaotic game in itself, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of, every character has at least 3 abilities.
Right. Okay.
Right. So in normal games where there's people that are not as good, it gets chaotic. So when it's a professional game where people know what they're doing, and sometimes there's 15 abilities going on at the same time, it is kind of crazy. And even sometimes for me, I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? You know what I mean? There's so much going on. There's so much stuff going on the screen. So at the beginning, you'd probably be a bit confused and a bit lost as to what the hell is going on, right?
Yeah.
But you could catch up relatively quickly.
Okay.
Because it's not like in football where there's loads of rules where suddenly the game is going to stop and you're going to be like, why did they just stop?
Yeah, if there are 1.5 minute games, then it clearly does have to be chaotic and quick, right? I want to ask you about the abilities a little bit later, but then the second part of this question is, I think you know where I'm coming from, is a person like me, the fathers of the world or the parents of the world that don't understand any of this, that can't see why their child is just sitting there watching somebody else play.
Yeah.
What do you suggest they do? How can I get into it so that when I watch you play it, I can talk to you about it and actually understand that this isn't just some sort of addiction, the devil's addiction that's going on in the world. What do you suggest? What would you suggest to a novice parent that knows nothing about any of this?
Well, I think the basics is just trying to understand it, whether that's doing your own research or playing the game yourself, or even just asking your son or daughter, hey, could you kind of explain why you like this so much? You'd probably be very enlightened and actually kind of understand a bit as to where they're coming from.
But I'm guessing that most parents would have to do this on their own, because I'm also guessing that if they ask their child to help them out, their son or daughter is going to say just leave me alone. You wouldn't understand. You're too old.
Yeah, maybe.
Right.
Yeah. I guess.
But I'd like this video to serve a little bit to demystify all that, to try to bring the 2 factions together, right? Mm-hmm. You have your parents, you have your children, you have your gamers and your esports, you have the baddies who are the people that are making our children addicted to this kind of thing. Uh-huh. And then you have the players themselves. Clearly what we're saying here is that this is not like watching TikTok. It's not doom scrolling. This is something that actually helps your skills, helps your teamwork, helps your motor skills. This is why it exists in the world of education, right?
Yeah.
So I'd like to bring that message to the parents and say, listen, try this out. But even I don't know how to try it out. In fact, I was thinking yesterday that maybe I should try to play a game or two before this podcast. But to be honest, I had no idea how to even start. There's a computer in my office. What do I do? Do I download it? Do I have to buy it? Do I have to pay for it? I have no idea. So I want to be closer to you, my son. So help me out. Tell me what to do.
Well, if you have to eat yourself, then I guess the first thing to do is kind of just research it.
Right.
If you don't want to play it, then don't play it. But I guess just research it, kind of see what it's about, you know? Give it a chance.
But if I did want to play it.
Yeah. Valorant, you could play it. You can play it for free. It's a free to play game. You can play on console and on PC.
Okay, so if it's on PC, assuming that most parents aren't going to run out and buy a PlayStation 5 just to play to try out the game. If I want to play it on PC, is it a website? Do I just go to Valorant.com and start playing there?
You can just you can go to Riot.com and you can download it from there. You can go to you can search up just Valorant download and there will be the first link normally.
Okay, so you have to actually download it and install it on your computer.
Exactly.
Right. So when you say an online game, it's not a website that you log on to and then you play online. It's online because once you launch it from your desktop, it connects online to play with everybody else. Okay, so it's actually a platform.
You need an internet connection to be able to play it. If not, you won't be able to even get into the game. So
and an account, I'm assuming, yeah.
Yeah, account. But that's simple. You can just use your Google account. That's not.
Okay, and then I'm assuming I've never played it, as I say, but I'm assuming it's just like any other game that I've played. There's an initiation thing. There's some sort of instructions on how to play.
Yeah, so once you get into the game, the first thing they do is they give you a little tutorial and they show you, they give you a few tips and stuff like that, which actually I recently played because I downloaded it on console for the first time and I played it. And it gives you a good couple of tips, you know, as an introduction. And and then after that you can start playing straight away.
Is there a specific place for a novice to play beforehand or to practice with that?
So you can't go straight into competitive. You have to play unrated first, which is just it's not serious. It's not you can just go in and everyone will take it not seriously, and you can try out all the guns and stuff like that.
Excellent.
There's a few game modes, that you can play.
Oh, is there a novice parent and angry parent game mode?
Probably not. I don't think so.
Okay, well, if anybody from Riot Games happens to be watching this, which I very much doubt, but if you are, then there's an idea for you. Create a place where all the parents that want to try to understand their children can play together and maybe learn the ropes in a way that makes them not hate what their children are doing. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I don't know if putting everyone that hates the thing into the same lobby will really work, because they'll just start fueling the anger.
That's true. Well, I don't know. It's a way to do it.
You never know.
Excellent. So it doesn't seem to be very complicated to install the game and start playing.
No.
Once you start playing, it's just a matter of acquiring skills and getting better. Right?
I think people will underestimate how hard it is. Not in the sense of that the game takes how hard it is to play the game, but people who aren't familiar with gaming and don't game normally, whenever they pick up a controller or they start playing with mouse and keyboard for the first time, and you watch them as someone who does play, you'll see them kind of run around like a headless chicken, They only know what they're doing or how to do the controls very well. And I think people, especially parents, will kind of find it a bit frustrating at the beginning.
Right. And would you actually encourage parents to try it out?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's like they say, there's a book for everyone. I think there's a game for everyone. I think gaming is such a huge industry, and there's so many different games everywhere. There's something for everyone out there, and it's just the fact of trying to find the one that you like or the type of ones that you like, you know?
Okay. Well, I'm determined. I will download Valorant and I will give it a shot. I will give it a try. I might even
Sounds good.
I might even record myself so you can so you can check it out. And once I feel it, maybe I might just find you online and play against you or play with you.
Sounds good.
Okay, so that's the first step. Next step is about the esports side of things. Mm-hmm. So if I'm a parent and I want to try to understand what my son or my daughter's doing, what my child's doing, this is what I see from watching you play. I see that there are YouTube channels that are dedicated to this. So I'm assuming this is like watching the network, right? So maybe I'm assuming that what I'm seeing is Riot Games or EA Sports or whatever have their own dedicated channel where you can watch the tournaments. Is that true? Free of charge. You don't have to sign up to anything. You can just watch them right there and then, right?
Exactly. Well, yeah.
But then I also watch you, and this is what I normally see. I don't normally watch you watching these YouTube channels. What I watch you is watch some dude watching the game and commentating it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tell me about that. What is that? What is it that a parent is looking at? Because this is what I find is probably more confusing than anything else to parents, because you're not just watching the game, which is normal. This is what we do when we watch sports. Mm-hmm. When you watch a football game, you turn on the TV, the players are there, and you hear the voice of the commentator, but you don't actually watch the commentator.
Yeah.
Right? So what is it that is so thrilling, and what is it that I have to understand as far as watching my son watch somebody else watching the game and commentating it? What's all that about? Tell me.
Well, it's like I said before. I watch Mixwell, so he gives a lot of insights.
Mixwell.
Yeah, he gives a lot of insights into the actual game itself and what's happening, because he was a professional player in Valorant and in another game called Counter-Strike.
Okay.
So he gives a lot of good insight as to why teams do that, why teams did what they did, and not only that, but also they're entertaining to watch. The people that you're watching are funny. It's kind of like watching it with, I don't want to say friends because they're not your friends, but you know what I mean. It's kind of
I do, yeah.
Like if there's multiple people on talking at the same on the same stream that know each other, then it's kind of like that, you know. They're friends between each other.
All right, so it's not just one guy. It's not just this Mixwell. Commentating, as you know, he might be connected with two or three other gamers, and all three of them are talking about it. Okay, I see.
Yeah, exactly.
And I also see there's a scrolling text down. Is that a live chat?
Yeah, so that's a live chat that you can type and you can interact, and other people can read what you say, and the streamer himself can also, or herself, can read what you say. I generally don't interact much with that because I just watch, to be honest.
Is it here's yeah, I've never actually seen you chatting or typing in these chats.
I don't generally I don't do that. Sometimes I do, but it'll have to be a very specific case.
Right. And here's a question that's probably on a lot of parents' mind. Mm-hmm. Are those chats generally child friendly, or are they rude?
Yeah. So most of the time there'll be people in the chat which they're moderators.
Right.
And if you say anything, they'll delete you, and they can ban people, and they can, you know, if you misbehave. Normally each channel, once you go into it for the first time, they'll say these are the rules for the chat. Either only speak English, only speak Spanish, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Don't say mean things or whatever, you know. The typical stuff.
That's good. I think that's really important for parents to know, that when their child are doing these things, mm-hmm. These things are being moderated. And I think I read somewhere that they're actually official channels, right? It's not just some dude. Anybody can start commentating on these games. They have to be vetted by the companies.
Yeah, you do. Right. So to be able to watch these games on your stream, the company has to allow you to do it.
Okay.
And if you don't, then you can get your account permanently banned and you can't stream anymore.
Perfect. So I think that's really important to know. That in fact, it's making me feel better after all these years watching you, because I really did think that all these were just totally unregulated. I thought you yourself could just log on to one of these games and start commentating it and start shouting and start swearing and things like that. So they are controlled. They are vetted by the companies. Yeah, and they're definitely moderated so that there's no abuse, so that there's no chance of abuse, and so that it becomes a proper sport rather than just a wild west of gaming.
Exactly. That's why I say it's very similar to your typical sports like football and stuff like that. Like you can't just go online and start streaming the football game, because you will get banned if you get caught, obviously, but you will get banned. It's the same thing. I mean,
good to know. I'm very happy there. It makes me. I mean, it's a little bit late now, seeing as you're on your own and independent, you can do whatever the hell you want. But it was at the back of my mind, watching you watch these guys. I was wondering what these guys were saying and what they were. Maybe not in your case because I trust you, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of parents are worried as to the influence these people have on their children's lives. Mm-hmm. And it's good to know that the influence is good. It's a good influence. Good. Okay. Yeah. All right. So parents, go for it. Learn about this. Jump into the world of esports. In my case, I'm going to have to jump into the world of Valorant, which is good because I like first-person shooters. Yeah. I'm not crazy about playing online with other people because I'm a little bit shy. And not only am I shy, I'm also shite. So I'm going to get my butt kicked. But it's a great starting point. I'm very happy that we cleared all that out. Yeah, definitely. It's an amazing... I really had no idea this world was so huge. Not until the previous podcast where we talked about it. And I do see that it's not. I do see it. Finally, I see it as not a bad thing. Yeah. Once you get your head around the fact that a first person shooter might be called a sport, then everything else falls into place and it's not so bad. I have one final question, which is, out of all these games, is there one particular one that's bigger than the other? Is it football? Is it racing? Is it...
I'd say that the biggest one by far, there's two. The biggest two are Counter-Strike and League of Legends. Those are...
So none of them are actually sports. Okay, that's surprising. I figured it'd be football.
No, I think the football esports, it's not that big. I mean, it's big. It has its own people that watch it. Yeah. But CS:GO and League of Legends are two huge. I mean, in the 5.3 billion that you said earlier, those two probably do more than half. I mean, right, yeah. The amount of money that they move, and like I said, some of the players are actually they are generally seen as like royalty in their country.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did mention that
in League of Legends. There's a legendary player. I believe he's Korean. I'm pretty sure he's Korean. He's called Faker, and he's won the most amount of trophies, and he's considered the best esports player across all games ever. Wow. And there's a photo where it's some gala, I don't know what it is, but on the same table it's him. I think it's the Prime Minister of Korea, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and all these huge important government people, and then Faker's on the same table. And
up there with the stars. Okay.
Yeah, and that's CS:GO great. It's super huge. It's been around for decades. It's it's got a huge fan base.
Yeah, we did talk about CS:GO a little bit. Yeah, in
people they seriously take that as a sport. They do seriously. They take that one really seriously, and yeah, that one's huge as well.
Yeah, we did talk about CS:GO in our gaming episode, more in particular about the in-game purchasing, right?
Yeah,
that's huge.
Purchasing episode.
So CS:GO and League of Legends are the biggest ones.
Yeah,
that's great.
I'd probably say those two are the biggest ones.
Okay,
they've also been around for quite a while.
Fair enough. And I got no more questions. I think I'm done. In fact, I'm ready to start playing. What can I say?
Well, that's great. But yeah, like I said, apart from like it's relatively easy. All of these things you can watch for free most of the time on platforms like Twitch, which is a streaming platform, or on YouTube as well. They stream them on YouTube. And the games are relatively easy to follow, apart from every once in a while a few chaotic rounds where there's abilities flying everywhere and you kind of don't know what the hell's going on. I'd say that yes, what were you gonna say?
Sorry, actually, now that you're saying, before we clock, can you very, very quickly tell me what some of these abilities are? Is it like what? Like you throw fire, or you breathe fire?
Yeah, so you can throw. So generally, you have abilities. Normally, they're more or less standardized. So you have the smokes, you have flashbangs, you have molotovs, like you can throw like fire kind of stuff. And some of them have their own unique abilities, like some of them can run really fast, some of them can like teleport, stuff like that.
I like that. Can you fly?
And then I'm going to leave it there because it can get quite complicated.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to get too much into it because this is not a walkthrough of the game or anything like that.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I was just curious as to what abilities are. Yeah, so I want to try this game. I want to check it out. See what it's like.
Should. I mean, I think it. I mean, I love it. I've been playing it for I'd probably say 6 years now. You know, I've been watching competitive probably for now 3 years, and 3-4 years around there. And yeah, I absolutely love it, to be honest.
And I see the T-shirt you're wearing is
it is. It's a Valorant. It's Mixwell's the streamer that I said he has his own Valorant team.
Excellent. That's
currently in the second division of like Europe's second division. And yeah.
All right.
Like I said,
in fact, I hear there's a good Giant X or something like that. Is that Giant X? Is that a Spanish team as well that's playing right now?
Yeah, so there's multiple Spanish teams. There's Giant X, or Giants as they say, and Team Heretics. They're two Spanish teams. Well, Spanish-based teams. They don't have any Spanish players, but they are Spanish clubs.
Okay, so I take it that's just like like football then, yeah?
Like football, exactly.
You might have a British team, but none of the players are actually British.
Yeah, exactly. Because, okay, cool. But yeah, there are a few teams, and this team is a fully Spanish team. All the players are Spanish, and Mixwell, he said he wants to bring up the Spanish players and stuff like that, and wants to increase the amount of Spanish players in the first division. So he said that this was the way to do it. But yeah, I think it's something that esports is something that everyone should at least try, you know? I have to say that the Valorant, the way that the leagues are set up is a bit confusing because, like I said, there's multiple stages, and in each stage you qualify for a bigger tournament. So at the very beginning, you're like, what the hell's going on? You know?
That's like everything. You got to get used to it, isn't it?
Yeah, but once you wrap your head around it, it's okay. And
okay. Well, I think to wrap up, I think it's fair to say that we should wrap up by telling people of my generation that are watching this that clearly esports is something that is much bigger than anticipated. It's a force to be reckoned with, and it's I don't think it's something that should be ignored or dismissed as just basically a children's game and something that's causing my child addiction or anything like that. It's a serious thing, and I think as parents, I think we should be informed, and I think as parents we should at least try to understand a little bit of what our children are going through, because it's not just it's not child's play. It's a serious thing. So it's good to know. It's good to know that.
Definitely.
Good to have cleared that a little bit. Good to know that it's controlled. Good to know that our children are in relatively safe hands. Obviously, there's always something out there for everybody. As far as being bad is concerned, I'm pretty sure. But I think it's good. It's good that you clear that up. It's good that you let me know as a parent. So I'm very happy. And I will look into it. I will find you out there, and I will kick your ass.
Sounds good.
That's all I have to say.
But yeah, like you said, I completely agree with everything you say, and I think the most important thing is that esports, it's not something that's going down. It's only getting bigger, and it's only going up. So I think the earlier you, I don't want to say get on the bandwagon, but the earlier you understand it, the easier it will be. And like I said, I think the best way to think about it is like football. Obviously, I think people are going to be like, what? But I think that generally is the best way to try to understand it is you can watch football and you can play football. It's the same thing. You can play Valorant and you can watch Valorant.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that love football, watch football, but have never played it and kicked the ball in their lives.
Yeah, and vice versa. There's people that love playing it but hate watching it. So, Fair
enough. Okay. All right, man. Well, thanks a lot for all that. I'm pretty sure that we've really only just touched the surface here. I do have a lot of other questions, to be honest, as we're talking, but we don't want to extend this too much. I think we might do a part 2 to get more into the nitty-gritty of how this works.
Yeah, we can probably do a part 2 on just talking about Valorant in itself and the history and all the big players and stuff. Cool. But I think that's a very niche one of...
that'll be more for your people. I think this podcast has been good for my people, for people my age, for the millennials and the Gen X's of the world. And hopefully it will demystify a little bit, and hopefully it will make us be not so scared, because I believe it or not, part of this is not really anger. As I said before, I think a lot of it is fear, and the fear of the unknown. It's something that's captivating our children, and we don't understand it. So I think this is a good open door for parents to cross and to get involved in the world that we've created for our children.
I completely agree.
All right.
And yeah, I think this is good, like you said, a great place to leave it, isn't it?
Let's do it.
Thank you everyone for watching. I definitely enjoyed this episode a lot. It was hopefully you guys learned a lot. I definitely enjoyed teaching you guys everything about this, and if you already know about this, then I hope you agree with everything I said and I didn't say anything wrong. If I did, let me know in the comments. And yeah, thank you for joining us on another episode. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Like, subscribe, and leave some comments. Let us know that you're here, because we need you.
Yeah, definitely. See you next week.
Bye-bye.